Hey, this is Isaac Kotek, Ableton Certified Trainer, and in this video I'm going to be showing how we can take a vocal track and cut it up, splice it up really creatively and uniquely to create a new kind of trap-influenced vocal. This is a super fun activity for students. They're going to get a lot out of this, and it also plays off of a current trend in produced electronic music found in trap, rap, you name it. So ideally it'll be pretty interesting for the students. There's a lesson plan that goes through all the different steps of you showing this off and then giving it to the students and letting them chop up the vocal and do their own creative edits. All right, first of all, I'm going to play this song. This is a track I made with Heather Christie, a part of my project called Silk Drop. And there's also a later part. This is more of the chorus. But we're mainly going to be looking at this part. All right, so I have this vocal line, and what I want to do is start playing with the timing of it, as well as warping it and creating cool pitch bends and things like that. So I'm just going to play around with this and kind of narrate as I go. A lot of times I like to just experiment. I'm going to insert some new audio tracks. And I like to sometimes just cut things up and play with their timing. That didn't really work. I like that. Just if you highlight a thing and hold Control, you can move it and it's going to drop it into place as long as you hold down Control or Command. I think I'm gonna like a could there. Almost. I find it really nice to just, when you have a sample there that you did like, but you're playing with other samples, you can just highlight it and press 0. That deactivates the clip, just in case you want to go back to it. All right, now let's get into some creative use of warping. I'm just going to throw this down here, and we can transpose it. So I'm going to transpose this down. Let's just say 12. That alone has a unique feel to it. But we have these different warp modes that we can play with. Now, complex is great for vocals, but if you're transposing, you can start playing around with Complex Pro. Complex Pro specifically look at the formants of the human voice and tries to hold that and keep that character more realistic than when we're with Pro. Even just this, you'll hear it. As compared to Complex. Which you might want to play with both of those. They have a unique sound, so we're going to start using this creatively. And you can just move this to get the sound you want out of that transposition. I generally think of it as male, kind of lower, darker, and female. I do find when you're all the way up, it starts sounding a little strange, so I like it somewhere in the middle. Cool. I'm also going to crop this just so I can see it right here in my sample editor, and I'm going to start stretching it. This is where that next part comes in, and I'm going to try putting that all the way over. Didn't quite work, right? Alright, so I'm going to put a warp marker there by double clicking and just stretching this. I liked it there, it was stretched just a little bit, but then something I would do is I'm going to delete this, and then I'm just dragging that part out. If I grab that, you can extend it out to whatever you cut before. I'm going to cut that. I'm going to again play with the timing of this one. I'm going to try to keep that, but move that. And sometimes it's nice to compare this to what's happening with your drums or your hi-hats, things like that. And I'm going to line this up a little more. You can also hold Alt to get it off the grid to smoothly move it, just to get those hits to line up with that. You can already see that it sounds more. I'm going to play with that. All right. Let's hear what we got already. Now I'm going to move this over here and see how that sounds. And I don't actually like that part anymore. That's the great part about just creatively getting into this. I can chop things up, delete them, and just go for it. Alright, one thing I'm going to show you is coming in here, I'm just going to chop all these little sections up. I'm hitting Control E or Command E. And what you can do is you can just play with these transpositions. So I'm going to bring this down by 5. I'm going to bring this down by 7. I'm going to bring this down by 12. I don't know what this is going to sound like, but something cool might happen. And then let's go back there. I like that. So all right, now we're getting somewhere. So, and I'm going to do that thing again where I hold Alt, move it in time. Oops. Hold Alt, but if you also hold Control or Command, it will not only smoothly move it, but it will drop it as a duplicate too. But I think it'll be better laid here. All right, I like where that is going. Great, and I'm just going to play a lot with putting things in Complex, Complex Pro. Another thing we can do is I'm going to hit Control or Command, drag that down to duplicate it, and then I can transpose this in some way. So I'm going to transpose this to 7, -7. You'll see what happened there is it's starting to create a harmony. Now let's put this back to normal, see if this is any good. Like where that is going, but not quite there. Yeah. So let's delete that. Bring this down by maybe 12. Nope, didn't work there, but we can then bring this by -12, so we're going to have an octave. Great. I'm already getting a cool sound out of this. And I'm going to play with this a little bit more and see what I can edit out of this. Alright, so here's an example that I finished up in a few minutes. I think it was like 10 or so minutes. I'm just going to play this. So this part in here, I didn't really do anything to the vocal to give it juxtaposition to all those edits. So now after hearing that, you can hear what the unedited version sounded like. Now, a totally different perspective on this one is I took the vocal. Let me see if I can grab it over here. Just copied that over, and I'm going to stretch this out. Here was the original vocal. What I did is I also put on some reverb. So you'll see both of these tracks have slightly different reverb, and that'll be important to the effect I'm going for. Well, let's just play this to give you an idea. Oh.
To take you every day. Do you think that I want it this way, my babe? I don't. I wish.
All right, so you got kind of the feel and the cadence of that, and we'll play this. And what I did is using the same techniques I was showing before by just taking this, chopping things out, stuff like that. But the main difference is I doubled right here. We've got these buttons, which shrinks it, half times it, or double times it. And once I double timed it, the timing is off. So you'll see when they're laid down, this is very off from what I ended up doing. And I had to go in and figure out what timing sounded good, move things around, kind of stretch things. Also, you'll notice sometimes, like, let's see, this part, it was originally a lot longer stretched, but it sounded a little weird, so I would just cut that and then half time it. So then
day.
It didn't sound as weird if I stretched it. So you can see that you can really begin to play with the timing of things, the overall stretch of it. Like if a note takes a whole measure or a half a measure, then you can cut and play with that. And then adding effects like chorus or reverb will really give it a good sound. And you can see this is widely different than the original of what I started with. This is a really fun production technique, and it's very modern sounding. We're hearing that a lot in electronic music and on the radio, and it's just really creative. It completely changes your idea of arrangement with vocals. So there you go. That's me editing this project to give you an idea of what I would do with it. I'm going to give you this edited version as well as the original one where the vocals are untouched, and that way you can give it to your students. They can play with it, chop it up, and do cool things. You could show them an example like the one that I finished or one that you make, or you could just tell them to chop it up and do some cool stuff with it and let them kind of make up their own sound, and then you can listen to it in the class. It's a really fun activity. It takes around anywhere between a half hour to maybe an hour. It depends if you've gone over warp modes. If you haven't, you'd want to do that and then let the students play with this activity. And there you go. Check out the lesson plan for the step-by-step how to do this. And check out Classtrack.org. There are a lot more free supplementary activities that I have, as well as a gigantic library of videos, courses, using the push, you name it, for your classroom at Classtrack.org.